Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inquirer Rochelle. Welcome back. We're here today filming in the Trini Breakfast Shed, which is a restaurant, a staple here in the community, located at 3209 Church Avenue in beautiful Brooklyn on a beautiful day. We're gonna start off today with my first guest. Here we have Miss Sheila Cummings. She is the creator and founder of Healing Arts, Primary Care and Functional Medicine, based in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. She has a background in nursing that spans over many, many years. I would like you all to help me welcome Miss Sheila Cummings.
Thank you.
So I touched a little bit on your background. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, I would love to. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
So yes, I always say that I am a mother, a nurse practitioner, an educator, an artist, an activist, and an entrepreneur.
Good for you.
As far as my nursing background, I did my nursing education in a lot of little steps. So I paid my way through school and I worked my way through school. So I started off as a nurse's assistant, did home care, worked in as a CNA and home health aide, and then what did I do next? Then I went to Harcum College in Bryn Mawr it was an associate degree in nursing, and that allowed me to sit for my RN licensure. Then my first job was at Children's Hospital Philadelphia.
Oh wow!
I worked there as a nurse. Hard, but
That's
really
impressive. Working with kids is not easy.
It's not easy, and I learned a ton there. It was a really great hospital experience. And while I was there, I started taking night classes at Immaculata. They had an RN to BSN program. So I worked there, and then after a while that got hard, working the night shifts and all these different crazy shifts at the hospital. So then I started school nursing and continued my studies, evening classes. And then I got married and had a baby. And so then I was able to finally finish my bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, while I was home with my son when he was a baby for a little bit. And that was quite an experience, just
I'm sure that was being in school and being a full-time new mom.
Yeah, it was. I remember going to night classes and taking my breast pump with me because I was nursing him, and during the day, trying to study while he's napping or playing, on the floor with his toys. Going to school and, still a mom, having a lot of
hats to juggle at the same time.
Yeah, and I've always been very close to my son and very involved with his life, so I, wanted to make sure I carved that time out for him.
Yes.
And he's always been a smart child, and he understood what I was doing, and I would include him. He would sit on my lap while I was studying and ask me about anatomy and physiology and things like that. And so he always got why I was working so hard, and so that went well. It was a lot, but I got that done, and then with the bachelor's degree, then that kind of opened up more jobs for me. So then I started temping with an agency at Penn. Penn required the bachelor's degree, so I got a lot of really great experiences working as a temp. They kind of moved me all around, and that was really great to get.
You had like floor to floor to floor. It's almost like a float nurse is what they would say today.
It was like a float nurse, except it wasn't in the hospital. They were all outpatient practices.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I got to experience different specialties like endocrinology, rheumatology, GYN, pediatrics, geriatrics, primary care, a little bit of everything. And then I finally landed a permanent position in the geriatric department at Penn, and then I worked there full time. So that then opened up some new doors for me. My colleagues in the geriatric department encouraged me to go back to become a geriatric nurse practitioner.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I decided to go for it. That was hard. And they actually have, it's really a primary care program. So I could see mostly anyone, but there's a special focus on geriatrics. So I did that, and I worked full time as a nurse, and I was a mom, and going to school at Penn, which was very rigorous. It was really hard, but it was worth it
because you did it.
Yeah, I did it, and there was a lot going on at home as well. There were some dysfunctional things happening at home, and that made it even harder.
When exactly did you get your nurse practitioner degree? Around what time was that?
2017 I finished. And so then I started working some different, when you become a provider, they call it locum tenens, which is basically a fancy way of saying a temp doctor or a temp nurse practitioner. So I did some temporary positions trying to get some experience, and then I started working in full-time in a practice doing primary care, which is what I was trained to do. So I saw all ages. I did
a whole
see
bunch
a lot
of different people
yes,
with different diseases or stages of their illnesses and
yeah,
such.
chronic diseases. There's of course some acute care, like people with the flu and things like that. But there were a lot of the people that saw me. People kind of gravitated to me that had more in-depth needs. So a lot of the older people or people with chronic illnesses that required more time. They picked up quickly that I was the one that would sit and listen to them, and I became frustrated in that position, although it was a great experience, finding that the conventional medical model doesn't always really provide the kind of care that people need.
That a lot of people need. It's kind of almost methodical. You see your patient for a certain amount of time. You tell them about what that specific thing they need that one day instead of following up. Say if someone has like a chronic illness or something of that nature. Right?
Yeah, it's very paradigm driven. There you follow clinical protocols. If someone has diabetes, these are the medications that you give them, and this is the diet that they follow. And it's not personalized at all. It's very fast paced and it's downstream medicine. We're waiting until someone gets sick and then
treating the problem,
giving them some medicine to keep them from getting sicker. Or to prevent complications. But sometimes the medications that we give them cause different complications and side effects.
Side effects, yep.
Hurting your liver or your kidney, like that's not a good trade-off in my eyes.
But that was not something that you wanted to kind of stick with. You wanted to branch off and do something on your own, or?
At that point, I wasn't sure what to do. I just knew that I was frustrated and not able to provide the kind of care that I wanted to provide for my patients. And I was doing my best to try to advocate for having more time with them. The people that would see me in that primary care practice kind of gravitated towards me because these were the people with chronic illnesses, older folks, people that needed more time that I was able to spend with them. And I quickly realized that I practiced in a different way than a lot of the other providers in that practice.
You wanted to actually care for your patients. So this is around 2017, 2018 is my guess?
Yeah, 2019. Those couple of years I was kind of plodding through, figuring out kind of who I was as a provider.
So your frustration with your job, was that the beginnings of what you were thinking about for your personal practice?
At that point, I don't think I had figured out that that's what I was going to do yet, but I was starting to think about how can I make this a more holistic, and how can I provide better care and kind of get to the root of people's problems, because people were coming in and I wasn't helping them get better. I was just keeping them from getting worse.
It was a quick fix.
Yeah.
A quick fix, and then come back at a later date and we'll revisit what's happening.
Yeah.
So then tell me a little more about what you wanted to do and how the process of healing arts came about.
Well, it started really with the pandemic. When the schools shut down in March of 2020, I found myself in an almost impossible position. At this point, I told you before that I had some stuff going on in my personal life.
Can you elaborate on that just a little bit so we know what kind of stuff you're discussing?
Yeah, so I was unfortunately in a very toxic marriage that was really causing me to doubt myself, and there was some abuse going on. And so I realized during this time that I needed to make some changes, and I was able to leave and found myself as a single mom. And although that's a good thing,
Yeah, I was just about to say congratulations on making that step to make that change. I'm sure that process was not an easy one whatsoever, but congratulations for, thinking that you're more and you need more and you deserve more and to get yourself out of that situation.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It was the beginning of my own healing process. So now, kind of freed from that relationship, there were a lot of more troubles ahead, but when the pandemic hit, it seemed initially like an impossible situation. I was, the sole provider for our family now, and my son needed me to be home with him, schooling him. And online learning is not something that a lot of people can succeed with.
Yeah.
And he really needed me. He needed my full attention, and he's my priority.
Right.
So I had to tell the office where I was working that I can't come in. I need to focus on my son. And so they laid me off.
Oh.
And I was initially devastated by that and really scared because I had no idea how I was going to make things work.
Ends meet, trying to stay home and helping your son, and now finding yourself without a job in the middle of a pandemic.
Yep, it was scary, but it actually ended up being this huge blessing. I didn't know. You never know. If those who are spiritual may believe that our higher power has a much greater plan than we could ever come up with for ourselves, and that was true for me. I didn't know that this was the beginning of opening huge doors. And when a door closes, there's another one
will
that's going to open, and
Right.
it sure did for me. I took this time with my son. We would spend our mornings doing his schoolwork.
Yes.
In the afternoons, we would go on hikes and canoeing, camping, fishing, all kinds of outdoor things. And this reinforced my kind of gut feeling that nature is medicine. It was part of our healing process.
That's beautiful.
And we also started doing a lot of art together. And that also was a really big part of our healing process. For me, being able to kind of access something that was within me that I couldn't express in words,
Yes.
With art, poetry, music, all of these things we did together and we did separately while we were home during the pandemic. And it allowed me to really start healing my soul. And the interesting thing about healing, on the inside is that you then are able to take better care of yourself and start healing your body as well. So
Healing on the inside and healing on the outside.
Yeah. So it really opened up some doors for me to start healing myself. And I started thinking about how can I access this kind of inner healing and natural medicine and help my patients with this as well. So I started researching, and I never would have been able to carve out that time to do that if I was still working these long hours. I mean, there were many, many unpaid hours just charting that I used to do.
That's the nature of nursing, right? That's the nature of the beast that we all do in the nursing profession.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time documenting.
Yes.
And unfortunately, as a nurse practitioner, you have set hours, I'm sure, and you don't get paid for the extra hours that you spend in the office.
Yes, and that was taking time away from my son, and just was very unfulfilling. So now I had this time that I couldn't have created for myself. The universe gave me the time, and I started studying functional medicine. And I didn't know what that was before this.
What is functional medicine? Just for our viewers that don't know what it is, explain what functional medicine is just a bit for us.
Yeah, so functional medicine is a way of practicing where you're looking for root causes. And so where I talked about the downstream approach of conventional medicine, functional medicine looks at the upstream approach. They are looking at the root cause, what is really beneath all of the physical problems and emotional problems, even spiritual problems that you're having. So if you have a symptom, instead of giving you a medicine that will just kind of mask the symptom or keep it from getting worse. We're actually discovering, why are you having the symptom? Isn't that such a silly thing that we don't ask that? In most places, most practices, they're not asking, why are you having these problems? We're just throwing medication at them.
You're treating what's in front of you. You're not digging deeper to find out the absolute root of the issue.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of practices do.
Yeah, and I was doing it too, because that's how I was trained.
Exactly.
That is the conventional medical model. And that is not to say that there's not value in that. That's really great for emergency medicine, acute care. We need that kind of medicine. But there's more. That when someone has a chronic illness or they have these symptoms that are hard to treat, we need to dig deeper. And so functional medicine uses, I like to think of it as ancient wisdom and modern technology, combining them together. So we can do some really specialized labs where we're looking at the gut microbiome.
Okay.
And we're looking at hormones, we're looking at genetics in great detail. And with that information, we can then really get to the root cause of why someone is having symptoms, how they're spiraling, their health is just spiraling out of control, and then we can use nature to help them fix it.
You definitely seem to have a passion for this, because I can see as you're talking about functional medicine, your eyes light up, your face lights up, and this all ties into your personal practice that you came up with and that you founded in 2020.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your healing arts, primary care, and functional medicine practice.
Yeah, so it started off very small. I was doing some house calls, doing telemedicine, especially during the pandemics, as people were not wanting to come face-to-face as much. So I was doing a combination of those things, not having a physical practice space,
Right.
but I was able to get the pieces in place to start doing that. And I saw my patients either in their home or over their computer. And now I've just opened up a physical space, which I'm really excited about, in Marlton, New Jersey.
Okay.
And so I'm able to see patients there in my office. I still do also offer telemedicine and house calls for some if they're not too far away from me. But the combination of kind of in-person visits and telemedicine allows me to see a lot of different kinds of people. And I'm really excited about it.
Touch different people in different places. So you mentioned before that you and your son both use art as a form of healing in the past for the trauma that you were going through or the trauma that you did go through. How does that play into you treating your patients? Do you do practice art with your patients also, or have them draw or paint? Tell me a little more about that.
So I kind of offer different levels of care for my patients, and because it's very personalized, it depends on how deep they want to go. So some of my patients still just want to come and see me for primary care, and I can do that, and I do that with some of my patients that have continued to see me since before the pandemic. Some of them want to dig deeper, and so yes, I am doing therapeutic art with some of my patients.
Okay.
It's kind of, I describe it as almost like a way of, like a form of life coaching, a way of helping them to access healing from within and to break through barriers that may be holding them back with their health.
Okay.
So where, it's not therapy per se, it's a tool that I use to help them with physical healing. So for me, in my own experience, I was able to use it to kind of get to the root of why am I making poor choices for my health and why am I not taking care of myself? And once I was able to kind of explore that, I was able to start making better choices. And so that's what I'm trying to help my patients do. And I've learned some different, another thing that I studied was some of these therapeutic art techniques during the pandemic. And I've learned some techniques that can kind of guide people
Yes.
that don't have to have art experience. It's just, they just have to have an open mind.
And they like painting or drawing or all of it?
Whatever medium speaks to them. I have tons of art supplies, and I like to let people kind of
just express themselves how they want to.
If they're more timid, I will suggest, here's some paints. Why don't you start with this? But I, also like to offer a wide variety of art mediums for people who, want to explore.
That actually sounds very creative and very exciting. So just tell me a little bit more about how art itself helps with the healing process. If we could delve a little bit more into that, so that way we can have our audience understand, it's not just taking a paintbrush and putting it to paper. There's so much more emotion connected to that artistic level that you're trying to portray to your patients or give your patients.
Yes. I think of art as it's a tool to access your inner wisdom. You have intuition. We all know what our body needs to heal, but it gets tainted by bad experiences that happen to us and stress and just life in general. I think of, underneath the layers of all of the hurt, there is this pure self, this beautiful soul that knows what it needs, that has a purpose in this world, that wants to express itself. And most people ignore that, and it gets covered up, and they don't know that it's even there. And, for myself, when I was working in primary care, I felt like I was this shell of a person trying to meet everyone's expectations, and not the authenticity of me was lost. And art helped me to find that again, to dig down into who am I, what am I here for, how can I access that wisdom that is inside of me to know how to heal myself, to understand how to relate to people in a way that only I can do. And so I'm using some techniques to help guide people. The art materials are really, they're just a medium to get into that inner wisdom and start to really use it to help to heal our bodies.
It sounds like art is the expressive way. So if someone does something, say abstract, maybe it kind of portrays that anger that they're feeling, depending on the colors that they use or the lines that they use. It sounds like there's so many different aspects of art itself that can help with the healing process.
Yes.
That's pretty much online of what you're saying, because
it is.
You gave some beautiful information right there.
Yeah, and I found that some people immediately feel this great relief, like I understand something about this experience that I've had, and other people, they'll maybe create something and they don't know what it means, and so what I've also learned are some tools to help them understand. There are a lot of symbols that are common that I can help people to kind of interpret what they've seen in their mind's eye. Colors have meanings, symbols have meanings, numbers, words, and so if they are struggling with that, I can help them to kind of figure out what's going on and how to get better access to what's inside of them that's trying to speak.
It sounds like this is a beautiful way to kind of filter the root of their problem, which is what your practice is ultimately trying to do.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to segue just a little bit into something you previously mentioned. You mentioned, your son and you both are hiking more and canoeing, and you have a lot more time since you quit your job. So we're going to talk a little bit about the book that you are writing. So you have a cookbook that you're working on to help everyone. Besides art, you're working on a cookbook to kind of help people figure out what they want to eat, to kind of also continue with their healing process, but also help with their physical being.
Yes. So I think of cooking as another art form. And I've always loved cooking, and I've always loved food. And for a time in my life, that became, something that I could use to feed my discomfort with my life. And so, food can be medicine, and it can also harm us. And so, I was doing a lot of baking and comfort food kind of stuff, and realized through my healing process that I can use food in a very different way to help me heal my body. And so, learning what my body needs, I then set out to try to figure out, like, how can I make this fun? How can I still be a foodie and love cooking and
make
also
it taste good.
And make it taste
Make it
great.
taste good.
And also, be healing my body while loving what I'm doing.
Right.
And so I started creating recipes around, functional eating. So, with functional medicine, we think of food as medicine, and certain foods are functional. They are things that our body needs.
Yes.
And some certain foods are dysfunctional. They are things that mostly harm us. And so I've been creating recipes that are fun and delicious, and also can be part of our healing process. And I've found that my patients sometimes, when I present them with like just a list of things you should or shouldn't eat, that feels very restrictive to them, and then they quit. They can't do it. They feel like, I can't, this is too hard. I just want pizza,
They want something that's easy for them to make. So are your recipes pretty straightforward, easy for people to be, okay, I have an hour, say, I have 5 kids, I have an hour to make something and put something together. Do some of your recipes, fall into the category of easy to make, dishes that are like in one pot dishes and stuff like that?
Definitely, yeah. I love things that are quick to put together. I also love international food, so I tried to incorporate recipes from different cultures, because a lot of people have different kinds of tastes, things that they like, and I love to explore different spices and ways of cooking. But yeah, I think there's a huge variety of different kinds of recipes. Some of them are very easy. Some of them are a little bit more elaborate, but not hard. It's just a matter of taking the time to understand the recipe and get the ingredients. Some of them, I may be sending you to, an Asian market to get certain spices you've never seen in the Acme or wherever you shop. But it's worth it, because these are creating new taste sensations and creating new neural pathways to, when you start to enjoy and love what you're cooking and what you're eating, then you start to crave those foods instead of the things that maybe you were addicted to before. Like for myself, I was really addicted to caffeine and sugary foods and breads. And
all the stuff that tastes good.
Yeah, I mean, I loved those foods, but, I've found that you can reshape those neural pathways to start actually craving the foods that are good for you if you make it fun and you make it delicious, and you start to, your taste buds change and your body starts to understand that I feel better when I eat this way. And for me, I've lost a good deal of weight. I'm still working on it, and another part of thank you. Another part of my own healing process was learning to be gentle with myself and be okay with where I am. I always was very hard on myself, and now I'm okay with going slow.
Big thing that people need to understand: stop being so hard on yourself. You take it one step at a time, and that sounds like what you're doing. Not taking it so hard on yourself. I can kind of attest to, I have not seen your cookbook or any of your recipes, but I do have issues eating certain foods, and I'm finding slowly if you change what you're eating, you do feel better. It may not, you try to make it taste as good. That's why I was like, is it tasting good? Does your food taste good?
It's important.
That's actually very important for some people. Some people can eat things that are bland, but taste is huge in this society today. Now, you have a lot of tricks. Art. You're writing a cookbook.
Yeah, so I think rather than tricks, I think of them as tools, because I practice in a very holistic way. I'm really trying to look at the whole person, and so the food and the art and all these things are, it's a multifaceted way of helping people to heal. So the products came around. Really, I was looking for ways to eliminate toxins from my body, from my family's household, and for my patients. And there's a lot of products that we use out there that are just full of chemicals. Every day, people put things on their body and in their body that are harming them, disrupting their hormones, disrupting their gut microbiome, just causing all kinds of havoc in our body, and we don't even realize it. Some of them you can't avoid. There's pollution in the air. We can try to, clean up the air, but it's hard to control that. But what we can control is the body products that we use. Right. And I started partnering with a friend who actually is an expert in the cosmetic, bath and body world,
Yes.
to develop my own line of products that were specifically only natural ingredients. They're handmade, organic, using essential oils, no fragrances, nothing artificial. And that's important to me because, if we're eating, just say, you go out and you eat organic, and then you jump in the shower and you're putting, all these chemicals on your body. Your skin is one of your largest, it's the largest organ, and it's absorbing all of these chemicals that we put on. You think it's on the outside, it doesn't matter. It gets in,
Right.
and it
Yes.
causes health problems. And so the products that I'm developing, I am using them partly to help promote my practice, to kind of get the word out that, hey, I'm here and I'm taking new patients, but also I really want to help people to just to be well, to be healthy. And I was looking for products that I could use for my own family, and decided this is a great kind of side part of my business that I can, bring a little bit more revenue into building my practice.
Yes.
And also I really believe that it helps people.
What's the name of your product line?
So, I haven't come up with a unique name for it. It's just Healing Arts.
Okay.
Same as my practice, but they're all natural, essential
natural
oil
products.
based products. Yep. So there are soaps, body butters, lotion bars. What else do we have? Room and linen sprays. There are, I can't think of them all right now, but
there's a whole line.
Yeah.
It sounds like your practice is very well rounded. It sounds like you have kind of figured out a way to hit the entire human body.
I'm trying
which is kind of what you're going with here with the functional medicine and with healing arts. What would you like people to know about your practice, and why should they pick your practice if it's something that they want to do in the future to help with their chronic illnesses or any of their illnesses?
I would like people to know that I may not have all of the answers, but I never give up trying to find them. I think that people that come to see me, I hope that they feel that I truly hear them.
Yes.
That I spend the time to investigate what's really going on with their whole self, their body, their mind, their spirit, and really try to get to the root cause of why maybe they don't feel well, or maybe they're having difficulty in their life that they may not even connect to being part of their health. It's all related. And when we fix one part, we start to fix all of it. And so I hope that people will come to me who are frustrated with maybe their traditional medical care. Maybe they haven't found the answers that they're looking for.
Right.
Or they just really, they find it's important to try to take a more natural approach or a more holistic approach to their health.
Yes.
Or maybe people that just feel like they haven't been heard, haven't been listened to. I make a commitment to my patients that, if you stick with me, we'll find the answers. We'll get to the root cause, and you can find wellness.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, Sheila. You can check out Sheila. She has a YouTube channel called Healing Arts, and your email is Sheila Fox Paws. So that's SHEILAFOXPAWS @gmail.com. If you want to know a little more about her practice, what she's doing, her line of products, or the art. Thank you so much, Sheila, for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Inquirer Rochelle, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're here at the Trini Breakfast Shed, a staple in the Caribbean community here in Brooklyn, New York, located at 3209 Church Avenue. This restaurant serves up some of the best Trinidadian/Caribbean dishes: crab and dumpling, shark, bacon saltfish, doubles, roti, just to name a few. But today we're going to focus a little more on the Chinese food aspect of the restaurant. And today I have with me Mr. Luis Pineda, who is one of the chefs here at the Trini Breakfast Shed, also known by everyone as Louis. He focuses more on the Chinese food portion of the cooking and of the restaurant. Thank you for being on the show, Louis.
You're welcome.
So tell me a little bit about your background. Let me know a little bit about how long you've been a chef.
27 years.
Wow.
In this company, I'm working 16 years, and I'm very happy. I mean, I love my job and I love what I'm doing. People who I'm working with is very nice to me, and that's make me do my things better.
I mean, the people that you work with make the job that you're in, whether or not you love it or you hate it. But the other part of your job is food.
Exactly.
Food is the restaurant business. And here we have the Chinese food portion of the Trini Breakfast Shed. What kind of dishes do you make here?
We do like Chinese chicken, the Chinese fried chicken. We do the fried rice, the lo mein, the chow mein, the spicy chicken, and talk about the wontons. The wontons is something people really like it. And when I see my customers like it, so I make it with my passion.
What different kind of wontons do you make here?
Well, we do two different kinds. We do the chicken wontons, we do the shrimps.
So I've been here once or twice before, and I can say that your food is amazing.
Thank you.
What do you put in the sauce for the wontons? Because that's what the wontons make itself, but the sauce makes it even better.
I believe it's a spicy flavor in the sauce because it's not just one thing. We use different things to make it nice, to give the wontons better flavors. We use like garlic, we use like shadow benny, we use different.
I hadn't heard that word ever, shadow benny.
Yeah, that's what we use.
Can we try and do a little bit of the wonton so we can all taste it?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some wontons for you guys too. Yeah.
All right, perfect. That looks amazing.
Smells amazing.
Louis, this smells amazing. I wish you guys could smell what we're smelling right now. Cannot wait to try it. I'm so excited that I had to bring two of my friends along. We have Marya here. She has a talk series called Pain to Power. And Tashia, who has a talk series called No Holdback. So we're just gonna get right into it and dig in and we'll let you know how it tastes.
Enjoy it.
Oh my God.
It's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Really, really good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know I'm talking with my mouth full. What would you like people to know about the Trini Breakfast Shed? Why should they eat here?
Because the food is always good, the food is always fresh, so we're doing the best. We
Cooked
try.
on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. The Trini Breakfast Shed, 3209 Church Avenue, Brooklyn, New York is where it's at for your Caribbean food, for your Chinese food. Come
And the
on down.
wontons.
And the beautiful wontons. Having these wontons right here. So come on down, check it out. And we love to see you here. Thank you so much, Louis.
Thank you.
All right. I'll eat the rest of this.
I'm on number 3. It's a little spicy, but
Yeah, the sauce has a little zing
yeah,
to it.
it's a little spicy, but it's good though. It's good. It's definitely good. I can get a whole order of this.
I'm gonna just keep eating.
Yeah, I need this in my life. I just added, I need this in my life. Like every party event, like, can we bring this? Can you bring this over?